You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
Chairman Kim has before him an opportunity like no other to be remembered as the leader who ushered in a glorious new era of security.
President Trump makes a new friend in North Korea and ditches Canada and Europe. And as if you didn't know, the media is our biggest enemy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and we'll have more on the week in politics in a moment. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. Bad news for Wells Fargo customers. Thousands on the Suncoast and across the nation trying to make purchases may find their debit cards declined. Wells Fargo is in the middle of a massive outage. Customers report not being able to use their debit cards. On Twitter, Wells Fargo apologized to customers and says it is working to resolve the issue. Wells Fargo advises customers to watch the bank's Twitter feed for updates on a possible fix. And we begin tonight with a story that raises questions about how our public schools protect the most vulnerable children. Video tonight of an April incident involving a special needs student pleading for help, only to be apparently ignored by an attendant on a Manatee school bus. The girl you see here, 5-year-old Annabelle Hunting, suffers from a communications disorder. She starts crying after another student pulls her hair. Then she is hit in the face repeatedly during the 7-minute video. The bus attendant, seen wearing a green shirt, appears to worry more about finding a lost phone than helping a child being tormented.
It was heart-wrenching, man. You know, it's my kid. I love her to death, and to see, that happened to her on the bus, and with the bus aide right there, and her trying to tell the bus aide that it was happening to her at the time, and her just ignoring it, and more worried about her phone than the kid's well-being.
The Manatee County School District says the bus attendant was terminated immediately, but due to a communications error, it was more than a week before the girl's parents were notified. A new crime-fighting tool is helping you become an active force in the community and safety, and it's possibly already in your pocket. The app, called See Something, Send Something, was developed right here on the Suncoast. It allows you to be the eyes and ears of law enforcement. You just snap a photo and upload it. Former deputy and app creator Kevin Angel says it can be used to tell law enforcement what you know that can help their investigation or tip them off to a crime.
If they see a missing child or if they see a suspected wanted person, they can snap a picture, send that as a tip. The facial recognition will take place in the background, and the agency will get an alert that that match has taken place.
The app is now available for free in the App Store. The city of Northport is growing more homes, businesses, and now a new hotel and water park. If approved by the City Commission, a Hilton Hotel will be built behind the Moe's and Mattress One on US 41 in Northport. It is a project that has been in the works for years, but now that the Atlanta Braves are making the city home for spring training, it's rounding third.
For 67,000 people. That's been growing at 4.1% a year. This is going to be our first hotel. We have a couple of motels in the area, but we're talking about a hotel.
An aqua park is also on the way. It will be built next to the Morgan Family Community Center. More than 9 months after Hurricane Irma, today is the final day for free legal advice. The Federal Emergency Management Agency hotline will close later today. The number to call is 866-550-2929. Since Irma hammered Florida last September, lawyers have been volunteering their time on the hotline and making referrals. The hotline's been used for help with insurance claims, landlord, tenant, or foreclosure issues, or problems with home repair contracts or contractors. An effort to clean up Sarasota Bay will be put into action this weekend. Sarasota Bay Watch and Moat Marine Labs will release nearly 30,000 clams into the bay on Saturday. The water quality has been better than it has been in years. Now the goal is to bring back a viable shellfish population. Now let's head over to ABC7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. First alert forecast. Bob.
Sarasota Bay Watch, a great organization. Larry Stultz, co-president, worked with him many times as MC for the Scalapalooza By the way, those clams help with red tide too. They eat red tide, and so they can be beneficial as well. Here is a look at the latest red tide report, and you can see it's not as bad in Manatee County right now. Just a couple of locations showing up right there near Longboat Pass and also north end of Anna Maria Island. Not bad though, just very low concentrations there. A little heavier concentrations as you push southward down towards Siesta Key. Again, that activity is, we'll go back one slide here and show you the Siesta Key. We are starting to see some reports there as well. A little heavier down south near Minnesota Key, as well as just south of Minnesota Key and north of it. And then Venice near the airport, Siesta Key, Lido, as well as Big Pass and New Pass. There's some low to medium concentrations being reported there as well. As far as the beaches go, we have a few showers now developing in the east Gulf of Mexico. They're very light and they're pushing off to the east. The heavy weather by far along the east coast, and you can see some of that activity right now just offshore of Venice, off of Siesta Key. So you can expect a brief shower here and there, but not a lot of rainfall expected as they'll be moving off to the east at 10 to 15 miles an hour. So the forecast through this evening calling for partly cloudy skies and occasional light rain shower. Not out of the question, but I'll have your complete weekend weather forecast for Father's Day too and let you know how that's shaping up. You can see that activity just northwest of Bethany. And currently at the airport we have a few clouds around 85. The heat index still up there at 92 degrees. Winds out of the west-southwest at 6. Alan.
Bob, thank you. President Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, is behind bars tonight. That decision coming from a federal judge hours after the president shocked the news media with a lengthy impromptu news interview on the White House lawn. ABC's Megan Hughes reports.
President Trump answering a flurry of questions.
Mr. President?
His surprise trip to the White House lawn following morning tweets about the FBI and this. Fox and Friends is on the front lawn of the White House. Maybe I'll have to take an unannounced trip down to see them. And the president did just that.
Are we on already?
We're on. We're live.
Oh, wow.
After his Fox News interview, he sounded off on the Justice Department's Inspector General's report.
Report yesterday, maybe more importantly than anything, it totally exonerates me. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction.
In fact, the report was focused on the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. It did include a newly released anti-Trump text message exchange between the FBI's Peter Strzok and Lisa Page.
Peter Strzok should have been fired a long time ago, and others should have been fired.
But while it identified the texts and other errors of judgment by agents and former FBI Director James Comey,
this report did not find any evidence of political bias or improper considerations actually impacting the investigation under review.
the president also addressed former campaign chairman Paul Manafort. A judge revoked Manafort's bail Friday, sending him to jail while he awaits trial. He faces charges for tax and other financial crimes, as well as obstruction of justice.
Manafort has nothing to do with our campaign. But I feel I feel a little badly about it. They went back 12 years to get things that he did 12 years ago. You know, Paul Manafort worked for me for a very short period of time.
And as the pressure grows on Manafort, President Trump also addressed speculation that his former attorney, Michael Cohen, would turn on him. He responded, no. The president says he did nothing wrong. Megan Hughes, ABC News, Washington.
Coming up, he's a doctor, he's a lawyer. Why on earth is he running for Congress? He was in Congress, he wanted to be in the U.S. Senate, and he floated the idea of running for governor. And he's just a good old-fashioned, wise, and well-connected political reporter. They are all waiting at the trapezoid.
You now have the power to prioritize your Facebook feed and get local news and information from the team you trust. Go to the ABC7 Sarasota page on Facebook. Give us a like, then click following and choose See First. That's it. Customize even more by choosing notifications. Choose breaking news, posts, live videos, anything you want to see in real time. Take control of your newsfeed and stay connected to what's happening in your community with ABC7 on Facebook.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $15 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 4 times in a row. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317, go online, or visit a Target store today.
He's been there for you every step of the way. When you didn't know where you were going, to knowing that now you've arrived. Tell him thank you with a trip to Alabama's Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. And you get the gimme of playing along with him. He'll love you even more, if that's possible.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
Welcome back. It is hard to argue with a president when he says that he met a dictator who keeps hundreds of thousands of his own people in prison camps and ordered the murders of countless numbers of people, including his brother and uncle, because as President Trump told a reporter today,
I don't want to see a nuclear weapon destroy you and your family.
But isn't it just a little bit hypocritical that when candidate Barack Obama suggested he'd meet with our enemies, he was soundly derided by Republicans? And can't a lot of folks be justifiably just a little confused when the president salutes members of the North Korean delegation just days after calling Canada's leader weak, and one of his top economic advisors said there's a special place in hell for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Joining us for more is Venice State Representative Julio Gonzalez and Jacob Ogles, a political editor of SRQ magazine. So Julio, I'm interested in your take on this because, you know, Democrats and Republicans get that this is a historic opportunity with North Korea, but we did give a lot away in terms of the military exercises, or as the president calls, war games. And it does come after days after some, calling our Canadian friends to the North who, helped us after 9/11 and fought alongside us during World War II, weak, and other things.
Well, I don't think that President Trump was speaking about the Canadian people, and I don't think he was talking about our historic relationship with Canada. I think he was specifically directing his comments to the Prime Minister. And I think he was very upset about the fact that the Prime Minister did not seem to demonstrate any concerns while he was there in front of him. And then as soon as the President left, Prime Minister Trudeau went off to the airwaves and essentially backslapped President Trump. I think he didn't appreciate that.
Isn't that because the president says that we have a trade deficit with Canada? We had an economist on last night who says factually it is not true. When you talk about trade, goods, and services, we actually factually have a surplus with Canada.
And it's a good thing that we have a surplus in certain items, and perhaps even the net surplus. I haven't looked at that statistic. But I think the effort of the president has been, and he's been very open about this, he wants to even up the trading field in terms of certain disadvantages that we have in the market in exporting some of our goods. For example, one of the topics that has come up recently has been in the issue of milk with over 200% tax rates. So I think it is a very Trump-esque way of delivering messages and perhaps putting people on guard that he aims to put the pressure on you in order to promote negotiations.
Jacob, how does that play around here?
Well, I think that Trump is a divisive figure all the way around. I think that it energizes his critics. I think there is certainly a contingent of loyal Trump voters who like the defiance anytime it comes out, who that's what they appreciate about Trump in the first place and what they like now. That's part of what being a populist is.
We have a quick moment for a comment that the president made about his meeting and his summit and what he has dealt with in terms of North Korea.
I came in, that was what I inherited. I should have never inherited. That should have been solved long before I got there. I did a great job this weekend. The fake news said, oh, you met. The only thing they saw that I gave up. One broadcast said, he gave up so much. You know what I gave up? I met. We had great chemistry. He gave us a lot. You haven't had a missile test in 7 months. You haven't had a firing.
Is correct about that, is he not?
Well, the implementation of military exercises in Korea is a significant thing that got glossed over there. That said, like you mentioned earlier, I think widely people are happy to see a conversation happening. I think what's upsetting people is the demurring and praising of somebody who's historically been an enemy of the United States.
Our conversation on This Week in Politics will continue in a moment. But after we catch up with former Congressman Patrick Murphy on his reaction to the summit this week in North Korea. But first, let's get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Casey Key webcam as we take you through time lapse showing. Look how calm things are out on the water right now. 7:16. There are a few showers off in the distance every once in a while popping up, not very big and not generating any lightning. So for your evening stroll along the beach, you should be okay. Although there are patchy areas of red tide being reported with some respiratory problems. This is a military shaft down south there, but this is a legitimate rainfall going on toward the east coast. This also legitimate rain, but notice how it's weakening as it pushes toward west central Florida. There are a few spotty showers I mentioned blowing up every once in a while here from Siesta Key southward to Venice, so don't be surprised by a little sprinkle here and there this evening. Heavier storms well on the east coast, some action just to the east of Parrish right now. Siesta Key, another little shower will move on through in the next half hour or so. And just north of Bethany, east of Parrish, some moderate rainfall there in a small area. It was a little heavier earlier today, this afternoon. Big storms firing up. Northport got over a ½ inch of rainfall, 2 inches in east portions of Manatee County, or East Sarasota County and southeast Manatee. This is a rainfall estimates from the Doppler radar site. And down south, a lot more over the Yucatan Peninsula. We're watching this area. It had been over here that the Hurricane Center was focusing on. Now it appears that pressures are starting to drop east of the Yucatan Peninsula. Conditions are not favorable for development, so the Hurricane Center only giving this a 10% chance. But Cuba, once again, getting some of that feed off from this little system down south and some heavy rain in the western tip there. There's the yellow area indicates where we think the storm may be headed or where the clouds and showers may be headed over the upcoming 5 days. Not much of a chance at 10%. For us, we'll see a slight chance for a few evening showers and then generally partly cloudy overnight. There is a slight chance for a few showers along the coast in the morning, although this model doesn't depict that. I still suspect to see 1 or 2 showers there. The sea breeze will develop and kick in by noon. You'll start to see that activity develop. And then for the most part, east of I-75 is where most of the action will be. 1 or 2 will slip back toward the coast in the late afternoon and early evening. Sunday for Father's Day looks good to start things off. And showers and storms scattered about in the afternoon. Now a little bit better chance to see maybe a few thunderstorms on Sunday afternoon, and some of those will have a tendency to make their way back toward the coast. Temperatures right now 81 in Jacksonville. It's cooled down in Tallahassee now, 79 degrees there, 84 in Key West, 85 in downtown Sarasota, and the water temperature 86 degrees, really warmed up there in the Gulf. 85 Mac City. Some rain has moved through Arcadia. Had a lot of rain in Arcadia today, and a lot of inland areas have had their fair share of showers and thunderstorms over the past 5 days now. 85 at the airport. Winds are out of the west-southwest now at 6 miles an hour, and the pressure 30.04 inches for boaters. Seas running less than 2 feet, and smooth conditions out there both on Saturday and Sunday, with the exception of a few isolated showers. The forecast then calling for a little bit better chance for scattered storms in the afternoon on Sunday. A 40% chance on Monday. It drops down as some drier air slips in on Tuesday through Friday of next week. Adam will be right back after this. Stick around.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome.
I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 78.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
Thank you.
What are you doing? You are the best protection she has. Buddy up. I'm Jill Harrington. Please visit helpsavethenextgirl.com and get involved.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
It might seem a little surreal or like a touch of vertigo. All in 1 week, friends like Canada are villains, and villains like North Korea are, in the words of President Trump, doing so much for us. We talked to former Florida Congressman Patrick Murphy.
That's a microcosm of, I think, the fear for a lot of Republicans in the House and the Congress right now that are upset, will tell me off the record, will call me and tell me how frustrated they are with this president on the budget, on the spending, on the tax bill, on the trade war, on the handling of North Korea, you name it, but they don't have the courage to stand up because they're so worried about their next election and losing. That's not good for our democracy. It is better, I think, for people to speak their mind and do what they think is best. We're not seeing that right now because when you poke the bear in this case, oftentimes it's going to come back to bite you. It is better when we have a balance of powers where everyone can speak their own mind.
If you talk to folks around here, either Democrats are tearing their hair out about the Russia investigation and what they see in terms of the president and the administration and some of the ethical things that are being talked about every single day. Or if you talk to Republicans, they don't care about the Russia investigation, and they are pleased that a conservative agenda is really moving forward in Washington. It is almost surreal to folks who live in the middle in terms of the nature of our politics at this point.
You're right, and people are in their lanes more and more, and I attribute that in a few main issues that have led to that. The gerrymandering, where people are put in a certain bucket because of the district they live in, and they get a representative because of that. The money that's being spent to manipulate where people are viewing, but then the media, and I'm not saying you, Alan, but you know, whether that's the Fox or the MSNBC is becoming more polarized and rigid, or social media, or Facebook and online, where people only get one side of an issue, not the other, and they're not getting that middle lane. So people are becoming more rigid in their beliefs. That's dangerous for our country, I think, and something I hope we can move away from, and I think is going to lead to a third party perhaps emerging because of that frustration.
And let me just ask you about the events this week in terms of the summit with North Korea. Number one, was this a major breakthrough, as the president would suggest? And number two, if you talk to a lot of your Republican friends, they'll say to you, look, this is evidence that the president is doing what no other president before him could do. It's almost like Nixon going to China.
That's you know, outrageous comment, of course, because the Republicans were the first to jump on President Obama when he even mentioned the thought of meeting with one of the Kims or meeting any sort of dictator without preconditions. I am one for diplomacy. I think it's great that people should, find that middle ground, see if there's a conversation, agreement to be had to avoid war. That is good. However, for the President of the United States to go meet with Kim Jong-un without any preconditions, to put him on the same pedestal as the American president, on the heels of bashing the G7 and going after our greatest allies, is completely, outrageous for I think any Republican or Democrat, but any American leader to do. This was good theater. That's exactly what it was. The president is running this White House like a reality TV show. You see the choreography of all the meetings and the signings and the press around this, and it's on and it's off. So I hope it leads to something. But so far, North Korea has won this first step. They are getting relief with Americans not doing military action and trials with the South Koreans. President Trump is praising their leader. This is someone who has killed thousands and detained thousands of people, including Americans, yet he's being called a talented, great negotiator by our president. So they won this first step. I hope America makes up some ground. I hope the Congress, Republican and Democrat alike, stand up to make sure that they're involved in any deal going forward, because verification is critical.
Very much.
Thank you.
And coming up in a moment, President Trump's campaign chair is behind bars tonight. Suncoast reaction in a moment.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-0398.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-604-0398. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
Iguanas only reproduce 1 month out of the year.
That's because they suffer from erectile dysfunction.
According to the Department of Homeland Security, what color represents the lowest threat level?
Is Caucasian a color?
Which casino game has the best odds for a payout?
The ATM.
Funny you should ask. Weekdays at 4:30 and 11:30 on ABC7.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard serve to give back to their country and communities. Their part-time commitment qualifies them for an array of benefits, such as affordable health and life insurance benefits, education benefits, including tuition assistance, student loan repayment and GI Bill programs, a retirement plan based on part-time service, and VA home mortgages. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about all the benefits available in the Army National Guard.
You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back, everyone. We are discussing the summit with North Korea, Paul Manafort's hearing, and the Florida gubernatorial race. And joining us for more are congressional candidate and current Venice State Representative Julio Gonzalez and political editor for SRQ Magazine, Jacob Ogles. Let's start with Paul Manafort because, Julio, it really is quite a spectacle to see that the former chairman of the president's presidential campaign going off to prison for alleged witness tampering.
Yeah, but he's played a small part in my campaign, and it was a long time ago. That's at least the narrative that the president is giving.
But it's not factual because the president said something like 49 days when he was involved with the campaign.
What is factual, and I'm gonna yield to your point, because what is factual is that there was witness tampering, it appears, and the judge today, I think it happened either this morning or yesterday, late in the day, said that it was a very difficult decision for her, but in the end, the witness tampering is what caused her to remove the bail privilege and have him behind bars. It's very premature to pass judgment, but it's definitely one of those stories that you really have to follow with great interest.
Jacob, I'm going to ask once again, on behalf of a lot of people who are watching this right now who say, we don't care. Why should people care about what happens to Paul Manafort? Because after all, the president will say the allegations against Paul Manafort have nothing to do with Russia collusion.
Well, one of the reasons they should care, for the record, is that these allegations were really surrounding Paul Manafort in the midst of the campaign. It was the Ted Cruz people who first were making a lot of noise about the number of ties between Paul Manafort and Russia. I think Trump is in a spot where he can't quite decide what to do. You've seen him flipping back and forth about it, whether to try to distance himself from Paul Manafort and say this is a guy who was barely involved with us, or to say, hey, he's being run out on a rail and he's just a target of a witch hunt right now.
The president commented on the Manafort situation today. He also commented on the Justice Department Inspector General report, which found incredible fault with the former FBI Director James Comey in how he handled the Hillary Clinton investigation. Specifically, the IG say it was wrong for Comey to announce with great fanfare that there were no charges against Hillary Clinton, and also that he was reopening an investigation into that just 2 weeks before the election. The president, as we saw earlier, took to the White House lawn today to talk to reporters, and he commented on the IG's report, saying this.
I think that the report yesterday, maybe more importantly than anything, it totally exonerates me. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. And if you read the report, you'll see that. What you'll really see is you'll see bias against me and millions and tens of millions of my followers. That is really a disgrace.
Julio, that's a flat-out lie. The report does not mention anything about collusion. It does not vindicate the president from anything, and specifically says there was no bias against the president running for office. If anyone who was harmed by what the FBI did, it was Hillary Clinton.
Well, if there's a lie about bias, it's the lie in the executive summary that appears in the report. Because if you read the facts on the case, Yeah, it was an overwhelming culture of bias. And what the executive summary said very specifically, and they did it, I think, in my lawyerly opinion, to weasel out of being able to take a stand, is that there was no evidence of bias in the decision making. But everywhere else, Alan, from top to bottom, exhibited gross and overt, not only bias, but a desire to defeat one political camp over the other, which is completely inconsistent with what the role of the FBI should be.
What Julio is talking about is the released text message of the FBI agent, Peter Strzok, I believe, who, when asked by his mistress, what are you going to do about Trump? And he said something to the effect that they will not let him win, which in fact was not the case, but does, if you watch the television networks and watch Fox or watch the congressman from the Panhandle, Matt Gaetz, think that that is proof positive that the FBI had it in for President Trump.
Well, the truth of the matter is those texts show that those agents involved in that conversation certainly were exhibiting a bias against Trump, but whether that translated into action, I might counter a little bit here that the actual actions of the FBI, that we don't just need the IG report, we can see them playing out. The actions of the FBI over the course of the campaign only did hurt one campaign, and that was the Hillary Clinton campaign. And in fact, at the very end of the race, that's what kind of turned the tables for Donald Trump at the very last second, the last 11 days.
And it's interesting because if you look at the actions and you have them play out and you look at the facts in the 528-page report, what you see was the very buffoonery of the people who are trying to help Hillary Clinton through their own just complete negligence on how to handle the situation that actually ended up hurting her. But if they hurt her, it was in their misguided attempt at helping her.
Let's turn to another issue here. And this is an issue, Julio, you think is one of the most important issues in your primary campaign for Congress, and that is immigration. And right now, there is an awful situation taking place at the border right now in terms of South Americans who are trying to enter this country and seeking asylum from some pretty nasty stuff in several South and Central American countries. And we have these images of children in cages and stories of children being ripped away from their mothers while they're breastfeeding, which led to an incredible exchange in the White House press room yesterday with the President's Press Secretary, Sandra Huckabee Sanders. Let's take a brief look.
Jill, please call. It's a law, and they have, these people have nothing. Hey, Ron, I know you want to get some more TV time, but that's not what this is about. I want to recognize you. Go ahead, Jill. Honestly, answer the question. It's a serious question. These people have nothing. They come to the border with nothing, and you throw children in cages. You're a parent. You're a parent of young children. Don't you have any empathy for what they go through? Jill, go ahead.
Julio, it's one thing to want strong borders, and everyone feels that is important, but it's another thing to put children into cages and rip them away from their parents.
I wouldn't cross the border with a child. I would not illegally cross the border with a child. It is an incredibly dangerous situation.
But you say illegally. There is a lawful method of seeking asylum in this country, and it has been pointed out, seeking asylum to escape political or civil strife is not illegal. There is a procedure for it.
And there is a procedure for it when the policy decision has been made by the United States of America to accept that as a bona fide situation for which asylum will be recognized.
But policy is different than law.
The part in the situation in Mexico has never been identified or recognized by the United States of America as being a bona fide reason to seek political or hardship asylum. And if anything, Alan, the reason why we're having this problem is because the very negligence of the federal government that has gone back for decades. And this is a tragic situation. I understand that, and I agree with it. But the fix is going to be painful, but it has to be done because for as long as we allow this situation to continue, scenes like this and situations like this will continue to occur.
So, Jacob, as we said at the outset, there are a lot of Democrats and frankly, a lot of Republicans who are pulling their hair out about those images of, there was an image of a kid in a cage. But I have to tell you, I've also spoken to a lot of the Republicans who simply say life is tough, and what bringing those kids into the country, as Julio suggested, was the wrong thing to do.
I've heard that. I think that it's interesting, this policy has really been going on for a number of years, but of course, like so many political scandals, it's much worse once you suddenly have video. I think the real thing about this politically is it's very difficult to defend the practice itself. And Julio just did a good job of arguing why we shouldn't be judging the agents for doing this, or why the people committing the crime of crossing the border in the first place shouldn't be bringing children with them when they do so. But it doesn't make that any easier to defend the policy of separating children from their parents.
We have to thank our guest right now, State Representative and Congressional Candidate Julio Gonzalez, and SRQ Magazine political editor Jacob Ogles for joining us tonight. When we return, we'll be joined once again by former Congressman Patrick Murphy to tell us why he almost saw running as a Democrat with a Republican in the race for governor was a good idea, and we'll have that interview coming back.
If you think it's hot outside, just wait until you see even hotter savings inside. Only at Rugs As Art Hot Summer Savings Sale event will you find the lowest prices on a vast selection of stunning rugs, furniture accents, and accessories. This special event only happens once a year, so hurry in before the best selections are gone. The Hot Summer Savings event ends soon, so don't miss out on the best prices ever. Rugs As Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Planning a Carnival Fantasy Cruise out of Mobile? Then check out the park and cruise packages at the luxurious Battle House and Renaissance Riverview Plaza hotels. Stay at the Battle House for $169 per night, or the Riverview Plaza for just $149 per night, and leave your car for the duration of your cruise. Includes transportation to and from the cruise terminal. If you're cruising out of Mobile, come stay with us. Call 1-800-MARRIOTT or visit Marriott.com now.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles.
I will always place the mission first.
They stand ready to respond to any crisis.
I will never accept defeat.
They serve in their communities as citizens and as soldiers.
I will never quit.
They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Learn more at nationalguard.com.
Monday at 4 on Suncoast View.
We're getting ready to head out into the great outdoors. I'm Joey Panic on Suncoast View. June is National Camping Month, and we'll find out all about the latest gear and goodies from Environeers. Then we'll make sure we're in shape for outdoor adventures with a fitness expert. Plus, Canine Corral tells us how CBD oils can help your pet stay calm during storm season. And Geyer's Sausage Kitchen joins us in our kitchen.
Monday at 4 on Suncoast View.
Performing on stage takes mental and physical preparation. But one thing I never thought to prepare for was cervical cancer. 91% of cervical cancers are caused by the human papillomavirus, or HPV. The good news is there are vaccines that can protect you or your children from cancer. I survived my cancer, but you can stop cancer before it starts. Talk to your doctor and go to thinkaboutthelink.org to learn more.
Imagine for a moment a Democrat and Republican running together on the same ticket for Florida governor. It was an idea that intrigued a lot of folks. Former Congressman Patrick Murphy and David Jolly were considering it, but as Murphy tells us, there were just too many obstacles.
And there was a lot of people, in fact, pushing us to do this. This wasn't our idea, actually. This was some people had seen our town hall, had seen us talking about why Congress is so broken, why politics isn't working nowadays. And they said, hey, this might be a new idea, a Republican and a Democrat coming together to solve problems, giving everybody a seat at the table. While I think it's a great idea, and I hope it happens one day, I didn't have that inside, feeling in my gut that this was the right thing to do at this time.
But you did some polling which seemed to indicate that if you chose to do this, you would do well. So if it wasn't the polling, was it the incredible amount of money that you would need to raise.
You know, the polls are really good, as you indicated, and the money was surprisingly good. However, one of the problems that I always outline with politics nowadays is the money. A lot of the money exists on the two extremes, the far left and the far right. So when you're trying to find that middle lane and bring a Republican and Democrat together, a lot of the typical donors say, I don't know if I'm going to be involved in that. Also, when you have 6 people in a race, you give a lot of people excuses not to contribute or get involved. It's easier for them to say, hey, I'm going to wait till after the primary. So we were facing a little bit of that, but I believe we had the resources to be very competitive in this race. It really just came down to that inside feeling where there was quite a few hurdles to get through, and this late in the game, everything's got to go right. And I didn't have that desire.
You mentioned that it's a crowded field, including Phil Levine, who has spent a tremendous amount of his own money to advertise around the state, and the latest polls show that he is leading in the race. But you are endorsing Gwen Graham, the former congresswoman from the Tallahassee area, the former daughter of the senator and the governor. I know you served with her in Congress, but if you're a Democrat and the bottom line is you want to win the governor's mansion, why support Gwen Graham over Phil Levine?
I think Gwen Graham has the best chance to be governor in Florida. I think most importantly, she'll do the best job as governor. To me, that's what matters the most. And I did serve with Gwen, and that is important to me, as you mentioned. That friendship matters. Her dad and my family go back years. Her dad, Senator Graham, was with me on primary day and general election day with a sign in his hand, helping me campaign. So we've spent some valuable time together, and I really respect her leadership and think she would hit the ground running and be the best governor for Florida.
You know, we talk to a lot of Republicans and Democrats around here. There are a lot of Democrats in the Sarasota, Manatee area who are supporting Phil Levine. They're saying that his campaign is focused, that it's directed, and even though there's a lot of affinity for Gwen Graham and her dad, they're not seeing that yet with this campaign.
You know, I've got nothing against Phil Levine, nothing against Andrew Gillum or Chris King or Jeff Green for that matter. I've gotten to know them all for various reasons, and at the end of the day, I think any of those Democrats would do a better job than the Republican after what we've seen with Rick Scott over the last 8 years. However, I think, and what you see with Phil Levine, why people maybe know him is because he spent some money. Back to the money question we were just talking about. He spent $8, $9, $10 million of his own money to get that name ID up. Gwen has just now started spending money. So there's a difference in the polls because of that name ID. Once Gwen starts to spend money, as people start to watch these debates and tune in a little bit more, I think you're going to see Gwen take the lead. But also, let's not forget, in all those polls, Gwen Graham only has a name ID comparable to the other candidates, but about 50% of the voters are undecided. They don't know who any of these folks are, have no name ID for any of them. So I think in the next 2 months, you're going to see a lot of changes.
Thanks to former Congressman Patrick Murphy for joining us. When we return, Paul Manafort behind bars, why a judge decided he can no longer remain free before trial. And coming up, your primetime headlines. But first, let's get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We are looking at Norm Schimmel's photo here, looking at off in the distance, these fair weather cumulus clouds around there and calm seas. Really, it's been really nice boating out there, and it looks like it's going to stay that way too. Here's a different look out in the Gulf of Mexico. Waves less than 2 feet. Once in a while, you'll see a shower approach. Either they come in and they quickly fall apart, or they bring just a brief sprinkle or two across coastal locations this evening, and that's what we're looking at right now. There's some rain out there in the Gulf of Mexico. It's weakening as it pushes toward us into some stable air there. The heavier storms that were around earlier are now along the east coast, and once in a while you'll see again a brief shower or two pushing on shore. Don't think it's going to rain and bring a lot of lightning and strong winds. It's just a little brief shower that'll move on through with that westerly wind. You see a little bit of rainfall just north of Venice right there, and again some rain up into eastern portions of Manatee County. Down south, we talked about this earlier, this is an area of concern. You can see a little mid-level low spinning right there with a lot of the moisture moving northward. Staying away from Florida now as a result of a high pressure ridge which continues to build over the state. The chances for it developing not very high at all, 10%. As it heads, it looks like that massive clouds heads toward Texas and Louisiana. Futurecast indicating a generally fair night overnight, and we'll see a shower or two starting to develop in the midday and then head off to the east as it has been all week long. That pattern, I think, will continue on Saturday with mainly inland storms. A little bit better chance for a few more storms, I think, on Sunday. and some of those will have a tendency to make their way back into the coastal locations later on in the evening. Temperatures right now, 79 is the popular number over the Panhandle all the way to Jacksonville, as well as into Miami. 80 degrees in Orlando now, and temperature of 85 in Sarasota, 84 in Key West. Now, temperatures around town where it's been raining has cooled a little bit. Upper 70s there, a little bit more cloud cover. They'll actually be warming up here in the next couple of hours. Mid 80s now in Bradenton, 84 in Sarasota, 84 in Northport and Venice. You're at 82 degrees. The Gulf water temperature starting to warm up, heat up there. 85 degrees our current temp at the airport, 30.04 on the barometer. Weather forecast tomorrow, there's a chance, small it is, for a few morning showers near the coast, and then we'll start to see that sea breeze develop. It'll initiate a few scattered storms. I think better chances happen later in the afternoon and into the evening. High temperatures will be close to seasonal averages. As far as the national satellite goes, we're not looking at a whole lot of storminess over the central U.S., just a lot of heat there. Highs tomorrow will be in the mid-90s. Look at Chicago's high, expected to be 97 degrees. Same in St. Louis and Dallas at 95. For boaters, winds out of the south, very light at 5 knots, and then they'll switch around to the west at later in the afternoon. The UV index will be high tomorrow at an 11. There'll be a few isolated showers. The forecast then for Father's Day looks good, although a chance for showers and scattered storms as you would expect this time of year. Upper 80s right in through Friday. A slight chance for showers comes Tuesday through Friday as some slightly drier air moves in. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this. Stick around.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
WWSB ABC7 is an equal opportunity employer, and we're looking for qualified people to join our dynamic team. For a list of current openings and to apply online, visit www.mysuncoast.com/contact/employment. If you're a motivated team player and you want a rewarding career in a fun, fast-paced working environment, WWSB ABC7 could be the perfect fit for you. Check out our list of openings now.
It's summer on the Suncoast, and you know what that means. It's Friday Fest season.
And you are invited. Join ABC7 for the Van Wezel Performing Arts Hall's free outdoor summertime concert series.
Jam to dance music by Ja Movement on June 22nd. The Movement is sure to get you dancing.
With food trucks, beverage vendors, and more, it's the perfect spot to enjoy great music and a summer sunset over the bay.
For more information, go to this number or go to mysuncoast.com/FridayFest.
We answered the call of duty and left our homes to serve in far-off lands. Now, we answer another call, this time at home, in our own communities, to respond in times of chaos, to use our strength, our skills, and our experiences to bring hope amid devastation and destruction. Together, as a team of brothers and sisters, we're continuing our mission to make this country a little stronger and a little better each day. We are Team Rubicon.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
My name is Stephen Jaffe. The law firm's name is Farmer Jaffe. One of the beautiful things about Julius is he's always smiling, and it becomes infectious. The fact that Julius has a disability has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work that he's done. Just a great person you want on your staff.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Checking primetime headlines, President Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, is behind bars tonight. A federal judge revoking his $10 million bond for tampering with witnesses. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has the story.
He stood on the stage with Donald Trump as he prepared to accept the Republican nomination. Now, Paul Manafort is behind bars. His bail was revoked after prosecutors accused him and an associate of contacting two witnesses trying to get them to lie about Manafort's lobbying work for Ukrainian politicians with ties to Vladimir Putin. One witness making the explosive claim Manafort was trying to, quote, suborn perjury. U.S. Marshals took Manafort into custody immediately after the judge's ruling. His wife seen leaving the courthouse alone.
Manafort, are you going to visit Paul?
Manafort also faces several felony charges, including tax evasion, bank fraud, money laundering conspiracy, and acting as an unregistered foreign agent. He has pled not guilty. His lawyer isn't talking.
Any comments at all?
On Twitter, President Trump seemed to defend his former campaign chairman, writing, "Wow, what a tough sentence for Paul Manafort, who has represented Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole, and many other top political people and campaigns. Didn't know Manafort was the head of the mob. What about Comey and Crooked Hillary and all of the others? Very unfair." But earlier in the day, before the judge's decision, the president appearing to distance himself from Manafort.
He worked for me, for 49 days or something? A very short period of time.
Despite the president's tweet, Manafort has not been sentenced yet. His first trial is scheduled for September. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Washington.
The White House officially announced steep tariffs against China, one of the United States' largest trading partners. President Trump insisting the tariffs, 25% on $50 billion worth of Chinese goods, are meant to protect American jobs. The move is designed to punish China for stealing American technology and trade secrets. China vowed to retaliate immediately and says the United States has launched a trade war after China warned it would retaliate. Trump threatened tariffs on another $100 billion of Chinese products. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.